the Dream Finder, which was a character down at Epcot. Yes, I am the Dream Finder. Yes, my friends, come into your imagination and ride with me. Come with me. Now, I did this thing for 20 years, okay? Now, one day I'm sitting in Farmer's Market, and there's a young man next to me, and somebody's talking about voices, and I said, well, I'm the voice of the Dream Finder. I am the Dream Finder. Yes, everybody, step on board. Now, this thing was a ride. And what I didn't know was this guy that was sitting at the next table had worked at Disneyland for 18 years in that fakakta ride. The man went to a mental institution because every day he'd come in and he would go, I am the Dream Finder. And now he's sitting down at the table having a leisurely lunch and he hears from the guy next door, I am the Dream Finder. He almost choked on his salami Sam. He went out of there like this. Anyway, but a lot of voices. I worked with some of the greatest. I worked with Hans Conried, Dawes Butler, and Mel Blanc. Mel and I would just some of the best, you know.
Tell us about that record you did with Disneyland, the Earl Dowd record you guys did with Mel Blanc.
Oh, actually, I wrote the piece. It was about the Warner Brother characters having a strike against the Disney characters because they want their own park. And so Henry Kissinger was the character that was like the mediator, you know. So I went in, and Mel Blanc is with me, and Mel goes, hey Chuck, I can't do this. I said, what? He says, it's Porky and it's speeded up and they don't have a speed up machine. Would you do it? I went, holy crow. I mean, you know, I said, no, I can't do it. He said, you do an impression of me doing it, which is better than I can do. Because you hear my speeded up voice. So that's what I did. You know, so I wound up doing it. But you don't know what it was to stand there next to him doing that, you know. Anyway, so tons of stuff, you know. There's lots of voices. Worked with all these wonderful people, doing all of these voices over the years. It's just been so much fun.
Chuck, this is going to be for the whole panel, but we'll start with you. Tell us, I know you said you started when you were 6. Tell us the very first job that you actually got a paycheck for, and how did you get that job? And this will be for the whole panel, but we'll start with Chuck.
Yes, it was Abraham Lincoln called me in. He said, can you do Wilkes Booth? One of the funniest voices I was asked, you always get asked crazy voices. I went to one insane advertising agency one time and I sat down and the guy says, Chuck, we're looking for the voice for Eagle Pencil Company. And we want you to come up with a voice for a lead pencil. And I just looked at him and without flinching said, 1 or 2 lead? You know, this man looked at me for 5 seconds straight and said, I don't know. I'm going to have to get back to you on that. Fred, is it a 1 or 2 lead? I don't know. So I went home and I left all the way home, you know, 1 or 2 lead. Anyway, let's see, one of the most obscure first voices, right? Was that the question?
The very first thing that you got a paycheck for.
Oh my God, almighty. Well, I was 6 years old, and I did a voice on a radio show called It's Maritime. And I was sitting at CBS, and my father was the arranger of the orchestra, and coming through the scripts, and I could read at 7. So I was sitting there looking at the script, you know. And the director came over and said, "Hey Val, is your kid kidding, or does he just turn the pages when everybody else turns?" He said, "No, he reads, you know." So he says, would you be interested in letting Chuck come back next week? We have a part of a young boy about 7 years old, and we just want him to do a couple of lines." He said, "I asked him." So I said, "Are you kidding?" And that was the beginning. And that was the very first voice I did was on radio at that time. And then I built my own radio station. I was doing my own voices on my own radio station until the FCC came and shut me down. I actually went up I had attached houses, and I had on the roof, I put a wire from one end of the block to the other. I sunk a pole and watered it with a hose, built an oscillator, and I did radio shows with Ronnie Lackman doing all the voices. And that's where I learned. Until one day, my mother goes, I said, "Hey Mom, we're recording, we're on the air, Mom." You know, I had a cough machine, so I have a switch, so "Hey Mom," I drove my poor mother nuts. And finally she said, "Well, there's somebody here to see you." "Who is it, Mom?" "The FCC." Well, they came down and they laughed a lot because they've been looking for me for 2 years. Our signal was going into Hempstead, Long Island, and they thought it was WHLI there that we were interrupting. And they were tearing down their transmitter to find out what the problem was. And it was my house. Anyway, that was the end of that. But I've been doing voices all my life. I guess that was the first one I really got paid for. So I was 6, 7.
My first paycheck came from my dad. I was a singer, and I used to go on stage with him. He worked with Martha Ray in the USO, and I would appear on stage as if I'd gotten up out of the audience, and we did a little bit, me and my shadow. But my first real job was singing at Marriott's Great America in Northern California in the theme park, in a show called Broadway. And that was the first summer of, 93? No, I was 16 in the 70s.
So when I was 11, I started acting, and the first job I got was a McDonald's commercial, and it kind of goes with voiceover because I had to play 3 different characters. I had to play a bunny, a gold prospector, and a Dracula. Because I was a kid and it was McPumpkin, and I had to show the multiple uses of the McPumpkin. So it was a golden McPumpkin, partner, or carroty McGoblin. And I forget, it was something like, "You put your blood in this one, I don't know." So that was my first commercial. My first cartoon actually was with April's dad, Paul Mitchell, in Disney's Adventures of the Gummy Bears. I was young boy Cabin. So I worked with him in June Foray. That was my first introduction.
I grew up in Kansas City, so there was no such thing as animation work there, and I was just a really obnoxious 15-year-old kid who thought it'd be fun to hear myself on the radio or television, and I had no idea people actually got paid for it. So I was bored, and it was summertime because back then there were only 3 television stations and no computers. So I just started calling the local advertisers and saying, your commercial is really bad. and I sound better, because I could put on a big fake voice back then, and they thought it was a real man. And one day they called back. It was the American Cancer Society, and their ad agency called and said, "Yeah, we understand you're willing to donate some voiceover work." Well, donate went right over my head, and voiceover work, I'd never heard that before, but I figured it out. So they said, "Yes, well, this Thursday." So I had to have my daddy drive me down there. And of course, they walk up to him. And he's like, "No," and he points at the pimply-faced kid in the fringy cut-off jeans. And they went back to the studio, and the poor guy's getting his butt chewed because they had to rent this place, and he got, "You've never done this before?" And I, "Yeah, but I certainly couldn't sound worse than what you had." And again, I was 15. So anyway, I read it through. I said, do you want this be in some sort of accent? Because I didn't know the term dialect. And the guy's like, the critics like, "What?" Now keep in mind, this is Kansas City 30 years ago, so nobody did anything that didn't sound like an FM disc jockey, walking the only kind of voiceover work that existed. So the guy's like, he goes, well, what did you have in mind? And I said, well, I think an old man from New England would be like a Pepperidge Farms guy. So they're like, okay, let's hear that. So I was like, every weekend, a couple dozen Kansas City families. So I get down, the engineer goes at 29 seconds. Perfect. And they looked at me and like, the guy's like, that's good. So I did 3 takes and it ran. Now, that led to the next day, the phone rings. Some other creative group at the same ad agency had heard this, wanted to hire me to do the voice of an old cowboy for 5 commercials. So 3 days later, I had to have my daddy drive me down. And the same exact thing happened. The woman comes out, I was talking to my dad, and she's like, no, son, and she goes, I was expecting a man. And I said, I can come back in 10 years. And she goes, no, we need you now. So I didn't know I was getting paid for it. I just thought I was doing another, because the first one was a public service announcement, there was nothing. So all of a sudden she's like scribbling stuff on the paper, she goes, well, your dad has to sign this. I'm like, okay, whatever. And he looks down and he's like, what, the contract, he's doing this. All of a sudden he goes, and he goes, Tommy, they're paying you for this. I'm like, for what? And he goes, they're paying you to talk on these commercial things. And I'm thinking, I'm 15 years old, it's 1975, and I'm going, what, $20, something big. And I said, how much? And he goes, a lot. Because there were screen actors, there was union, big-time, real commercials, which got paid $200 a piece back then, and there were 6 of them. And he goes, they're paying you $1,200. Now, in my head, I'm going, well, is it 12 or is it 100? And really, it's 100. And then we go, no, it's $1,200. And then all of a sudden the light bulb went off, and of course, by now I'm 3 months away from turning 16, so I went, oh God, I'm getting a car. A 1972 Ford Gran Torino.
And it's still the same money.
Moving down the line, actually my background is not dissimilar to Tom's, and my wide-eyed Midwesternness is not dissimilar to Tom's. I didn't even give a thought to any of this until later, and I kind of stumbled through other stories into a theater conservatory that wound me up back in the Midwest, but toward the end of senior year, I thought, well, how do people actually finance their lives as actors? And so I asked questions. There was no Google search. You just sort of say, how do you do this? And try to work backwards and say, well, I want to do that. So I got out the yellow pages. I got the names of all of the advertising agencies in St. Louis, and there were actually a surprising number of them. I had a Wallensack tape recorder that I got at a yard sale. I had copy that I got out of the newspaper. I'm leading up to the job that paid. I recorded, you could hear me dropping the copy while I'm putting the needle on the turntable to read the copy from the newspaper or a magazine. I made this tape. I had no tapes or demos to compare it to, and I delivered it to these advertising agencies. And then I held my breath, and I got a call. And they asked if it was me. I said, yeah, I remember his name. He said, my name is Al Lagis. I heard your tape, and I really want to talk to you. So I thought, this is how it happens. So I went. He said, I'm going to be at Technisonic Studios. I have a session which will probably be out early. Meet me at the end of it. I went. I waited. He said, I did hear your tape. I listened to it start to finish. He said, I couldn't wait to speak to you when I heard it. He said, that is the worst voice tape I've ever heard in my entire career. He said, but you have a very interesting voice, and I think you could do something with it, but don't let anyone else hear that tape. He said, so here's how it's going to go. He said, I usually book an hour at a time for radio spots, and I do a lot of them. He said, I want you to come in, I want you to listen to everything that's happening on the other side of the glass. He said, if we come in 10 minutes early, I've already paid for the hour, I'll pull some copy for you, we can lay down some stuff, we can put some things together. If it sounds the way you want it to, you'll then have it. I mean, this was like an angel. He also hired me for what I was leading up to, which was the first paying job, which ironically, like your cowboy, was, I was young and fresh and green and new, but I played an old sign painter who said the first family of banks wants you know, and it went on like that. And with him, we started with sort of neutral reads and we worked our way out to character reads, but you know, I get into all of these themes when I teach, which I do, and when I appear, which I do, and if you don't bring some sort of ridiculously naive, optimistic outlook to your life and this part of your life, it'll never happen. But if you carry that along with you, you stumble onto situations and people that may help you get to the, you know, around the next bend, and that's exactly how that story unfolded. That's me.
So you guys get paid. See, because I remember doing a lot of free stuff. You know, I did a lot of stand-up and improv, and I don't know, I'm growing up in the 80s, so everything was sort of Ronald Reagan. And it was a lot of fun to do Ronald Reagan because you can pretty much say just about, well, I don't know. I love the Comic-Con, and no, so I think the first paying gig, I think I did a stand-up act for a bachelorette party, and did things like that, and that was fun. And then the really bizarre, obscure job I had to be Tony the Tiger, but in the suit. So it's like, there, right, but it's like, there, right. We can't hear you, we can't, I'm wearing a suit, yeah. That was fun, but he was cool. And then I did a lot of ADR, so a lot of kung fu movies I voiced, and those were great because some of the lines are fantastic. You know, all the knowledge of kung fu can't help you in the world with women. You know, pleased to be killed in this fashion. It's like, but that was fun. My big movie though for doing a lot of voices was Gladiator, and I have a little monologue. You will be fighting for the emperor. Do not turn your back on him. That was I have a little soliloquy in Gladiator, and that was my big paying gig. It's exciting.
April?
My first paying gig as a kid, I got my SAG card when I was 11. My dad had given me a reel-to-reel tape recorder to play with. And so in my room I would do TV premieres or movie premieres. It's like, and now we're talking to Mae West, you know. But, you know, I would do that, like 6, doing this in my room. And my biggest joy would be going to recording sessions with my dad. I went every Hanna-Barbera, the Banana Splits, Dick Dastardly, all this, the Hair Bear Bunch, all the stuff that he did in the 70s that was so wonderful. And I would go with him, and I loved it. And I was 11 years old, and I was walking around the halls of, I want to say, Bell Sound. And they had pictures of stars on the walls who were in the productions that they were doing. And I started going through my shtick. And I'd pass in front of a celebrity and do their voice, you know. And it just so happened that his agent was there. And at the time, there was vogue to use kids to do kids' voices, which now, you know, it's me and Candy, basically. You know? But then they really did use children. And they were doing a show called Kid Power. And they needed, it was the first, like, politically correct, all the colors of the rainbow. There was a Native American child, and there was a black child, and there was a Jewish kid, and I was the women's liver named Connie. And I was like, all right. So I got that job, which was great. And then, can you believe it? It was like 11. It's like, yay, girl power. So we went, they didn't know what I was talking about. I was like, I don't know. So we went from, that was like 11, and then from 11 to my 20s, I did mostly musicals, like stage musicals. And in my mid-20s, I found myself working at a law firm, which is something actors do when they can't wait tables. And I was doing like transcriptions for workman's comp, you know, all day long. So I got this call to go in and read for this movie for Roger Rabbit. And I hadn't really worked in a long time, so I thought, well, you know, I'll give it a shot. So I went and they said, we want Margaret Dumont, and I happened to know who that was. And so I did Mrs. Herman, you'd be a good boy, Roger, and I'm getting back from the beauty ball, and I got the job. So a couple of days later, I got a call while I'm at work transcribing, waiting to go do this movie. And they said, this is Reuben Cannon's office, and he was like the big voiceover, you know, guy at the time. And they said, we wanted to know if you could do another part in this movie. And I said, sure, what do you want? We need baby Herman. We need a crying, screaming baby. And I was like, yeah, I can do it. I had no idea if I could do it. I said, yeah, okay. They said, could you do it for us? And I'm like, look, I'm at the law firm, So I said, yeah, okay. So I locked myself in the file room, And through the door, you could hear, and they gave me the job, and then I was fired from the law firm. They thought I was having a meltdown in the file room.
Okay, a brief commercial announcement. Tomorrow we're going to have another cartoon voice panel. It's in room 6A at 11:15, and we will have on that panel Laura Summer from the Garfield Show, Brian Cummings from The Adventures of Gummy Bears and Two Stupid Dogs, Phil Lamar from Family Guy and Futurama, Dan Gilvezan from Spider-Man the Transformers, Tom Kenny from SpongeBob SquarePants and many other places, and we are very pleased to have with us the original Judy Jetson of Penelope Pitstop. Janet Waldo will be with us tomorrow.
And this is only the second time that she's ever been at Comic-Con, so come out.
Yeah. Anyway. Now also, if you are interested, as I imagine somebody in this room must be, in the careers in the cartoon voice world, we're doing a special panel tomorrow which is not done for entertainment, it's done for facts. At 2 o'clock in room 25 ABC, we're doing a panel called The Business of Cartoon Voices. This is for people who are seriously interested in agents, managers, demo takes, casting directors, how you get a career. If you're interested in that line of work, come to there. We are trying to impart some information because there are a lot of predatory casting people and coaches out there who take a lot of money for not doing much. There's some very good teachers out there we'll be talking about. Greg Berger is one of them. Brian Cummings will be with us tomorrow is one of them. There's a lot of them. And so if you're interested in that room is not large enough for all the people who probably want to do it, so get there early. That's 25 ABC at 2 o'clock, Business of Cartoon Voices. Now, we're going to show you what these people do for a living. We're going to pass out a script to them that they have never seen. This is called a cold reading. We're going to cast it now, and we're going to make these people read it for you and demonstrate roughly. This is an obscure radio play which we adapted of the story of Cinderella, keeping our Disney theme intact. We're going to assign the roles. Everybody's got pencils. Here's who you're going to play in this. Candy,
Yes.
you're Cinderella.
Oh, Senator.
April, you're the evil stepmother. Tom, you're the narrator. And Chuck, you're the prince and the fairy godmother. We're a little short of women on this panel here, so Jason, you're going to play the ugly stepsister number 2. And you're going to play Harold number 1, H-E-R-A-L-D number 1. Fred, you're going to be playing ugly stepsister number 1. Yes. And the Knave, there's a character called the Knave, K-N-A-V-E in there too. You're going to play those two. Greg, you're playing Harold number 2. You're playing Faversham. There's a scene where 5 people at a party have a conversation. You're playing person number 1. You're playing person number 2, you're playing person number 3, you're playing person number 4, and you're playing person number 5. All right? Now keep in mind, they have not seen this script before, they're marking now. I am going to play director here. I may occasionally stop you and ask you to try to read a line a different way. All right? Everybody got this?
Who's the narrator?
The narrator is Tom. All right? And Tom, I don't think this is the same narrator every line. I'd like you to read every line with a different approach.
Okay.
All right?
Wow.
We got mixed up between Fred and Greg.
What?
We
Person 1 through 5.
Person 1 through 5 or Greg?
oh,
Greg, you are person 1 through 5.
He's like, good luck with
then
that.
I'm confused.
Ain't no thing solved.
Then could I please have
Am I the fairy
You're the fairy godmother and the prince.
The fairy god, oh my God. And the prince.
And
I
the
can
prince.
figure the prince, but the fairy godmother.
I'm ready.
Oh, okay.
You're asking us to change.
I'll
I'm
figure out
ready.
this off. Okay? Everybody ready?
I'm ready. Jason's ready.
Okay.
I said she's
Ready?
ready.
Ready.
Hold on. Ready? You are Fabersham.
Oh, okay,
Arrow number 2 and verses 1 through 5.
You have got to stop getting high before you
Oh, look at it.
All right? Ladies and gentlemen, the story of Cinderella. Tom, you have the first line.
Once upon a time, there was a young girl named Cinderella who lived with a stepmother and 3 ugly stepsisters. Every morning, the stepmother and stepsisters would wake up and order poor Cinderella around.
What's taking Cinderella so long? I want my breakfast. I'm hungry.
Oh, sister, have you heard about the big ball the king is throwing to find Prince Charming a wife? Everyone will be there when he picks me as his bride.
You? Well, I'm certain he'll pick me. Can we go, Mother, please? Can't we?
You told you.
Of course we're going to the ball. My daughters are the most beautiful girls in the land. Not to mention how rich the prince is. Oh, Cinderella, it's about time you brought us our breakfast.
Jess, here you are. I'm so sorry that I was late. This is what Disney was really thinking.
You're dismissed. Well, what are you standing around for?
Well, it's just that maybe I was thinking, or even stepmother, may I go to the ball too?
You? Oh, that's too funny.
You're just too funny.
Of course you may go, Cinderella.
What?
What?
Mother,
How could you?
with an accent?
You may go if you finish all your chores and if you help your sisters get ready and if you can find some decent clothes to wear instead of those rags.
Well, I guess I won't be going.
So the night of the ball arrived, and Cinderella was forced to help her evil stepmother and ugly stepsisters get ready for the big party.
Where is my dress?
And where are my shoes?
In my purse.
Okay, settle down, ladies. Here are your shoes, Brunella, and here is your purse, Grisella.
Ah, we're all set. Oh, too bad, Cinderella. I guess you didn't get your chores done in time. Oh, you can stay here and scrub the kitchen floor.
I'm sure after they left for the ball, Cinderella was all alone with her mother. And what he shot a dream.
What was it you just said?
How the hell did you get in here?
Why, hey, look again. It's your fairy godmother. Of course. Now, what was it I heard you say?
It's just that I want to go to the ball. It's just too late now because I got no way to get there.
Is that all?
Yeah!
Hey, I can manage that.
Fantastic.
It's never too late for a little magic, eh?
Magic Johnson?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. There you are. Now,
Skip the line.
you may go to the ball.
Check, stop, we skipped the line. I did?
Yeah, the fairy godmother. The narrator's in.
Oh, excuse me. Pardon me, I gotta look out for a goddamn narrator. Hey, narrator, I'm the very frickin' godmother. Don't mess with the godmother. I'll put a curse on the narrator. How would you like that? All right. Sorry, Mr. Narrator.
This is not the panel with no entertainment, by the way.
This is Tom Kane as the narrator. Take
2. The fairy godmother waves her hand, changing a pumpkin into a beautiful coach and 2 nice horses. Yes.
Are you finished, Mr. Narrator?
In fact, I am.
Well, good. There you are. Now you can go to the ball.
Okay, but fairy godmother, aren't you forgetting something? Take a look at me, look at my dress.
Oh my goodness.
Right.
For heaven's sake,
Right.
look at that.
Right.
Hey, you can't go to the ball looking like that. You got
Right.
spaghetti all down.
Right?
And with another wave of her hand, she changed Cinderella's rags into a beautiful ball gown. And on her feet, there were lovely glass slippers.
Now remember, you gotta be home before midnight, okay? You gotta be home before midnight, cause that's when the magic stops working.
It's also when my mother starts working, but they make her do it anyway.
And so Cinderella left for the ball in her coach. At the palace, the party was already in progress, and I was in the coat room with a coachette girl.
Party chatter.
Yes. Nice. I think that's even narrator.
He's still in the coachette girl here, never mind. And everyone seemed to be having a merry old time. Well, everyone but the prince.
You're not excited, Your Highness. This may be the day you find your future wife and our future queen. Oh dear, I doubt that thing. Why, never have I seen such a woman in the kingdom who was as fair and as beautiful as the woman of my dreams. Perhaps that will change this evening.
He had just about given up when the doors opened and Cinderella arrived. The party took notice.
Who is that girl? She's stunning and absolutely beautiful.
I have never seen her or anyone like her before.
She can't be from around here.
Why do you say that?
Well, take a look. She's wearing glass slippers.
Oh, those are definitely from another kingdom.
And the prince was immediately smitten with the stranger.
Oh, pardon me. But may I have this dance with you?
You got a brother? Okay, barring that, I would be honored, Your Majesty.
The transport cleared as the two whirled around it. Cinderella's stepmother and stepsisters watched and sneered.
With scrubbing bubbles.
The scrubbing bubble. And the plain umbrella falls under attack.
No, who is that girl?
She looks familiar, but I can't quite place the face.
She is using up all the prince's time. He's supposed to be my mama.
The prince and Cinderella were inseparable, right up to the minute when the clock struck 12.
Never
But you can't.
Oh, but I
But you can't.
You don't want to see this dress in a minute.
But practically just got here and I don't even know your name.
But that didn't stop your hands, did it? I'm so sorry. I must, and I say farewell. Now you know why I live alone.
Who to the shoes she was princessly humming? He could do nothing to stop her, and in moments she was out the door and gone.
Oh, dear Faversham, you must find her. She was the one, I'm sure of it. Did anybody get her name?
No one, Your Highness.
Oh, sure. To have found true love and now to have lost her.
Excuse me.
Don't call me. More than
That's all right. My bad. My bad.
All right.
I
already did it.
My bad.
It's all right. Excuse me.
Do not disturb His Highness, knave. Can you not see he is grieving?
Believe it's pronounced knave. I just thought he'd want to know. That woman he was dancing with all night, when she left, she dropped this.
Oh my goodness, it's one of her glass slippers. Look, I recognize it. 12 fluid ounces. Faversham, we will take this shoe and try it on every available men's feet for miles around. The woman with this shoe, who will fix it, that will be the woman that I shall make my bride.
The next day, the prince and his two heralds scoured the kingdom to find his beloved.
Try this shoe on.
Hey, you there, why don't you come over and put your tootsies into this one, please?
They had almost given up when they arrived at the home of the evil stepmother. Oh dear.
Mother, the prince is here.
I'm sure the shoe will fit me.
I don't care which one of you it fits. Just make sure it's one of you.
Ladies, we're here to find a woman whose foot fits this glass slipper.
Yeah, who wants to put her tootsies into this one here first?
Oh no, not me.
Oh, yes, it's just a little too small.
No, it's small for me too.
Don't like your highness. Oh, pish posh. That woman there, look at that woman in the corner. What about her?
Cinderella? It couldn't possibly fit her. She's nobody.
Well, look at down at the bottom of my legs there. She has feet. I think I'm just gonna try one of these shoes on her.
Wait a minute. Give me the clothespin. I'll put it on my nose, cause I'll try this one myself.
You have no idea what it's like to work with these people. I know, which one are we doing? The prince knelt down and slipped the shoe on Cinderella's pudgy little foot, and of course, it fit perfectly.
Oh my goodness, you're the one for me.
Oh, damn it. All right, and you're the one for me.
And so Cinderella and the prince were married, and the evil stepmother and ugly stepsisters had learned to do things for themselves.
Mother, I don't want to scrub no floors.
And I don't want to do no windows.
Shut up and keep washing. Or scrubbing, or whatever it is you're doing.
And everyone except them lived happily ever after.
Oh.
Tammy has to leave us. Thank you, Tammy Milo, very much. I would like to introduce you to some folks. We love cartoon voice actors and cartoon voiceover type people, but we also love people who hire cartoon voice people. I'd like you to meet a couple of people who've been responsible for a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff that you've been hearing over the years if you're cartoon fans or fans of children's television. If you watched ABC television in the 70s, you saw a lot of kids shows which were developed by a network executive I want to introduce here who's with us, who later went on to work for Sid and Marty Krofft, producing a lot of their shows. You all love Sid and Marty Krofft stuff. She later became the top producer of her own TV shows. I'd like you to introduce Miss Bonnie Dorr. Come on up, Bonnie. A lot of the shows that Bonnie developed at ABC when she was there were done by the top writing and producing team in the history of Saturday morning animation. Two guys who worked at Hanna-Barbera for years producing all their shows and writing them. They used to be the guys who did Dynamite and Captain Caveman and the Wacky Races. And they created a little character named Scooby-Doo that went on to something else. They later went to work for Sid and Marty Krofft doing, all love Sid and Marty Krofft, right? They all went to work doing the Electro and Dinah Girl and Dr. Shrinker and Wonder Woman. And they later started their own company called Ruby Spears, which brought you Thunder the Barbarian and Plastic Man, Alvin the Chipmunks. I'd like you to meet Joe Ruby and Ken Spears. Puff and stuff, and Land of the Lost, and Blitzville, and the Far Out Space Nuts starring Chuck McCann and Donnie Marie. I just happen to have Sid and Marty Krofft here. Come on.
Was in Far Out Space Nuts. I didn't think you were this big to draw this audience. Jeez, this is big. Anyway, we're happy to be here. This is the man right here. How many panels? 400?
This is my 9th panel.
Anyway, we're happy to be here. We're glad we showed up for you, whether you care or you don't care. For Huckleberry Toys, autographing new materials based on their shows, and I wanted to ask them to thank. I thought you'd like to meet these guys in person. Would you thank Sid and Marty Krofft, Bonnie Dorr, Joe Ruby, and Ken Spears for stopping by? Panelists, all right, your next question. I want to ask everybody here. Question is, I want you to tell me about a time you couldn't believe the person you were working with in a recording session. I want you to name drop somebody you were really impressed that was at the microphone across the studio from you. Can you think of a case, Greg?
I can think of too many cases. I also just wanted to throw in, I may be leaving here quickly. I will be, for the next hour, at booth 3749 for Shout Factory for G.I. Joe, the animated feature that I did. I'll be signing down there for them. I have been, I think all of us have been, we're on this side of the table right now, but we're also sitting with you. We all have our heroes. We all grew up on cartoons. We all sat on our fists, and I mean, watching heroes. The opportunity to work with them is like a dream fulfilled. In one of the earliest sessions I did at Hanna-Barbera, and I was the new kid, and I just got let in sort of the side door. I was seated next to Mel Blanc. Dawes Butler was in the room. These are heroes. You have the opportunity to actually be in the same room as these people, and you say, you know, how much better can it possibly get than this? June Foray, Janet Waldo, Jonathan Winters, James Brown on Duckman, Marvin Kaplan on Garfield just a few weeks ago. I just, you know, some of these are names that are on the tip of your tongue, others may not be, but they are all heroes for me, and I'm absolutely tongue-tied and jaw-dropped when I'm in their presence. So I can't believe I still get to do this for a living.
Greg, you remember the day, we had one day at Garfield session, we had Buddy Hackett in the morning. And Buddy Hackett told us 3 dirty jokes. And then we had Paul Winchell in the afternoon, and Paul told us the same 3 dirty jokes. And we had to all pretend that we hadn't heard them before. And Paul told them better because he didn't move his lips when he did it. So, anyway, who else have you folks worked with that you were really impressed to be sharing a mic with? Over there. Anybody else got a story?
One of the very first times I was, you know, again, young in Hollywood. I was 24 years old, and I got hired to do something, and there was Jonathan Harris. You know, you bubbly booby, you know, where's my boy? And of course, I could hardly talk because, you know, there's Dr. Smith. And in the lobby, when we were done, we're coming out, and then in walks Bill Mooney, you know. And so they're reminiscing, and the crack up is the guy that does the best Dr. Smith I've ever heard is Bill Mooney. So, Jonathan had, you know, I got to know him over the years, and that was the first time I just was like, wow, Tom's not in Kansas anymore. But yeah, he was, I actually asked him about a story I heard once, because Jonathan lived in New York City back a million years ago, and he did Broadway from the age of childhood, and he knew Tallulah Bankhead. And I asked him about a story I heard, and he said it was absolutely true. He said that there was this huge wedding at like St. Patrick's Cathedral, big society wedding, and everybody was there. And the cardinal or whatever comes in, and he's waving the brazier, you know, the smoking ball thing, and it's all in Latin. And it was 11 o'clock in the morning, and Tallulah was hammered. And she leaned out into the alley of the aisle, and as the guy passed her, she goes, "Darling, I love the drag, but your purse is on fire." And he said it was true. So imagine Dr. Smith telling you, "Oh, I love the drag, but your purse is on fire."
Chuck, just name people you've worked with in your career. Just give us a name, just list people on camera and off, and voiceover or otherwise.
Oh, God, Mel Blanc, you name it.
Frank Welker.
Frank Welker. Awesome. Frank Welker is an old buddy of mine. He was contemporary, you know, we all grew up together working with Dawes and Mel Blanc and these wonderful people. But I grew up in a movie theater, actually, when I was a kid. My father was the arranger at the Roxy Theater in New York City, so I grew up, like, for instance, Bud Abbott and Lou Costello came to the Roxy, and Lou wanted the band to see the act. So he says, "Hey kid, come on with me." And we go upstairs to 7th floor, unscrew mirrors off the back of dressing room doors and bring it down so that he placed them with me along the wall of the theater, so of the orchestra pit, so they can look down and actually see Bud and Lou behind them, because they wanted that reaction from the orchestra, from the band. And I did that, and he said, "Come on, I'm buying you a soda." And we went across the street, and I sat there sipping a soda with Lou Costello. I mean, things like that. Calling Stan Laurel at 12 years of age and hearing, "Hello? Oh, Chuck, does your mother know you're calling? You know, this can be very expensive," you know. So I'd be talking to Laurel and Hardy. I grew up with these people, and I grew up in the dark with them, and I just loved doing what I did, and I can't believe I'm still doing it. And Tim Conway and I are running around the country right now doing the old shows from the Carabinet, all the sketches and stuff. I'm 76, I'm still having the best time I've ever had in my life. I feel like I'm mentally 12. I can leave you with one thing, I want to leave you with this. Don't close doors. Everything in life that happened to me by coincidence. You never know who you're going to bump into. And happiness is being able to look forward to something. In this crazy business, you never know what's around the corner. So you're always happy looking forward to things. So please, don't keep the doors open and do what and your dreams will happen for you. Believe me, they will.